Welcome to Reg Theory Academy. At Reg Theory, we provide the content you need to learn cybersecurity. We work with individuals, students, businesses, and professionals alike. Now, Cybersecurity Fundamentals 1 is one of a three-part series regarding the foundational components of cybersecurity. I am your facilitator, Professor Kalea Taylor. If you'd like to learn more about me, please go to regtheory.com to learn about who I am, my company Reg Theory, and the academy that I created to share this knowledge with you. Now let's go ahead and begin. What is cybersecurity? It is so essential in the 21st century, especially in the day and age that we are in now, to understand the primary function of cybersecurity, why it exists, and what it does not only for individuals, companies, businesses, and governments, but how it will evolve over the future in order to protect what we do. Today, we consume and create more data using our cell phones than what people created throughout a total entire generation in the 20th century. That, my dear, was only 20 years ago. So now, so much data is constantly being created, consumed, sold, brought, shared, and used. So it's really important to understand what's happening with your data. Not only that, what's happening with data overall within organizations you work for now or will work for in the future. So what is cybersecurity? Well, as you can see here, cybersecurity is the protection of data, systems, and networks that require the use of virtual or remote networks to operate, do business, or communicate. Essentially, anything that's hitting the internet, anything that's going through a virtual space needs to be protected from endpoint to endpoint, which means start to finish, no matter how many times it has to go through, let's say, different doors to get to the endpoint. Cybersecurity is there to protect your data, your money, and your privacy. Now, the rise of computing in global industries. As you know, especially in the day and age that we are in now, you are either learning something online through your educational institution, through your school, through your business. Everyone keeps getting trained even after they graduate from high school or university. You have to have continual knowledge sharing training so you can stay abreast in your field, especially when it comes to technology. Cybersecurity is one of these technologies that changes every few days, not months, not years. Every few days, a new malicious malware pops up. A new organization is being penetrated. A new type of attack has happened, which means that you have to constantly be on your P's and Q's, meaning you constantly have to be aware of what's happening, how it's happening, and how to mitigate what's going on. So in the rise of computing within organizations, technology is used in order to take payments. Technology is used in order to allow people to receive their electricity, allow people to receive their gas and their water in their homes, as well as allowing for things like public transportation to work in large environments, let's say like Berlin, Germany, or New York City, New York, where you have subway trains. All these use technology, as well as airplanes. Every time we travel from one country to the next, one city to the next on the airplane, all that information is inputted into software systems that work with the aviation software required to do the flights. And the flight control folks who are saying, hey, go this way, go that way, land here, land there. And, I'm oversimplifying this, but all this is controlled through technology. So technology is used in every single industry, from aviation to zoology. The zoos are using the technology to track animals and the diseases they have and the babies they have and the conditions of the weather. All these things are tracked. Everything in between is part of technology too, as well as agriculture, there's agri-tech, which is huge here in Africa. There's e-commerce, which is huge all the world over, to buy things online and have it delivered to you. It's most effective in the West and the East, and it's still becoming a very new dynamic here on the African continent. Another way that industries are growing and developing is being able to take your payment online. Momo, as they call it here in Ghana, which is mobile money, is your ability to be able to pay for a transaction using your mobile money account attached to your phone number on your SIM card that you use on your cell phone. And you can do this whether you are on a 4G network with a smartphone or a 2G network with one of those old school phones from the 1990s. It still allows you to be able to do payment, which is making the society more inclusive for all and not just a select few who have risen to the middle class. So payments and money and the growth and immersion of fintechs, which are financial technology companies, which allow for payments to be taken. One big one would be PayPal is a financial technology company. ZPay here in Ghana is a fintech. Flutterwave out of Nigeria is a fintech. There are so many fintechs. Stripe, the ability to take payments for your US, UK, European businesses, all are fintechs. These particular type of industries rise up from the use of technology and work in collaboration with the big banks or with the central banks that decide on how currencies are distributed and interest rates and all these other major things about currency. And then let's go ahead and talk about teaching and learning. I touched on that a bit, but with teaching and learning, it's important to understand how content is delivered. You're watching me right now on your computer in the comfort of your own home, learning about cybersecurity from a Black woman. How cool is that? Right? So technology allows you to be able to do things that you would never have been able to do just maybe 5 years ago, 2 years ago in some places. But we are now able to do teaching for schools, for content, for courses, as well as to learn. And in corporate environments, this is done in the same way. So when you have all these different ways of producing content or products or different services in which people are paying for in the masses, you have to have a way to protect the content, meaning you have to have a way to protect what people are trying to sell and be able to get paid for, because that's proprietary. Proprietary means something is owned by a specific organization and or person who can sell it out to others. And it should not be copied. Should not. You have cybersecurity to protect the privacy of your data, like your name, like your passport information, like your birth date or your other identifiable important documentation for your identity and your citizenship inside of the country in which you are from. So these are extraordinarily important things, and how cybersecurity touches all these areas plus many, many more in order to protect the data that is there. That is why the fundamentals of cybersecurity and cybersecurity itself is so important. People need to understand how it interlocks and interrelates in various industries. So when we're really talking about cybersecurity, we have got to understand what happens if there is a cyber attack. Now you may ask, what's a cyber attack? Well, a cyber attack is anytime a bad actor, someone with malicious intent, goes into the system or into someone's website and tries to steal information they don't have authorization to access, meaning they're penetrating a digital system in some form or fashion. And they're stealing people's information. So someone paid for a product like a cell phone online and expected that cell phone to be delivered, and it was never delivered. They're trying to find out why, and the company themselves say, oh, that's not even our website. Well, what? How does someone know? Right? And there's many ways to know these things, but sometimes you just don't, because they're done in such a well-organized fashion. And so in order to avoid bad actors being able to do this to people on a mass scale, cybersecurity is needed, as well as the professionals who know how to implement different areas of cybersecurity, because cybersecurity has a lot of different elements within it alone in order for organizations to be fully protected. When we talk about cybersecurity, the fundamental aspect that you really need to understand about cybersecurity are what are the core principles. And the core principles are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. When it comes to confidentiality, you really need to be able to understand, what does that mean? It simply means unauthorized people should not have access to content that they're not authorized to access. And if we want to be more precise, it's processes and rules that limit access to system data and information to authorized persons. Therefore, you can only use or have access to this particular data, content, funds, if you are the person who's supposed to have access to it. That is a core principle in how cybersecurity is most important, because of that confidentiality aspect. Now, in future courses, we will go deep into authorization. So availability, second core principle. Availability, simply put, is the ability for you to have access to whatever it is that is of value to you. So whether that be your money, your data, or any other pertinent information that you should be able to access at any point in time, any day, any hour. Simply put, an authorized user has a full access to their data or information when they want it. The system is available and accessible to the user at all times. Integrity, the third core principle, states data needs to be accurate and has not been manipulated in any way. So therefore, you're not being tricked or frauded or bamboozled in some form. If the integrity of the data is good, if the integrity of the information being moved from one point to another is good, and the databases needed to run these systems will not be corrupted. So the three core principles: availability, confidentiality, integrity. There's no specific order for these, but they are all required for cybersecurity across the board globally. Now, there are other concepts that need to be taken into account. We can call these sub-principles of sort. And the first one would be risk. You always have to understand what procedures are in place to mitigate financial or security risks to an organization. Organizations, governments, businesses of any size can risk losing a lot of money and make them go out of business and bankrupt, and or having their brand reputation destroyed by having some form of high-level security attack that they didn't handle correctly or didn't share with the public and their customers. So risk is essential, and there's whole risk teams around this that handle how to mitigate different types of risks when it comes to cybersecurity. Business continuity is another one. Businesses have to constantly run. And if one area of a business is compromised, how do you keep your business running? So with business continuity, it's just ensuring that a security breach does not compromise or stop the core business from functioning. And why this is important is because you can have, let's say, an airline whose ticketing system was penetrated or attacked, but only the ticketing system in Houston, Texas was attacked. The ticketing systems in other regions of the world were not attacked. So the security team would have to be able to immediately isolate the attack on the system in Houston so that it won't penetrate the core business of the overall ticketing system for this global airline. So this is something that you need to keep in mind and understand. When I worked for IBM, I worked with the database team for managing the databases for United Airlines. And by doing so, we would always work with the security personnel to make sure, okay, if you had to shut this down, how do we boot this over to another database quickly and fast without interrupting to the whole system and without the system being corrupted. This is very much a reality. This is something that has been going on and being worked on for over 20 years now. And it has become even more of an importance now that a lot of these malicious actors, bad actors, have gotten very sophisticated in the way they attack businesses and organizations using different types of cybersecurity threats. So another one people may not think of too often and may not even be aware of is adversarial thinking. You need to think like the bad guy. You need to think like, what would the bad guy do and why would they do it? It's a thinking process to help you understand what could be potentially harmful to your organization. What could be potentially harmful to how your customers work with your app to be able to access whatever service that you're giving them on the app. Even if it's a game that they're playing on the app. If that game is connected to their Gmail account, then that means that your game is collecting data on them that is personal, like their email address and their full names, maybe even their birthday, and of course their payment details so they can play your game that you have on the app. All this needs to be protected, and you should be thinking, if you have an app like that, how do I protect my customers so that when they access my app, they're not also accessing some malicious malware that's collecting all their data and stealing money from out of their bank accounts. So these are important things to understand when you're dealing with cybersecurity and the core principles and the supporting principles that help make cybersecurity what it is. Ethics and cybersecurity. Now, I cannot overstate the importance of ethics in cybersecurity because in order to be a cybersecurity professional, you have to be someone of good standing. You have to be someone with a moral compass who understands what you're doing can have a severe and detrimental impact and or really save, uplift, and keep communities safe, right? So really understanding the core principles of ethics and cybersecurity is paramount in order to be able to have a profession in which professionals are doing a great service at the same time using the cutting edge state-of-the-art technology while being able to secure systems both for government, businesses, organizations, and well, individuals as well. So we'll also go in depth more about cybersecurity ethics in a later course. So 3 main things come to mind, and it really is about creating this group of professionals who are going to be held accountable not only to their job, but to each other, to the profession itself. Making sure that they're not causing any damage or harm. Now, this brings us to the importance of why are you here today? You know, why do you want to learn about cybersecurity? Well, you want to learn about cybersecurity because there's so few professionals in this field globally that it is a huge opportunity for you to build a great skill set and make great money in your region, right here in Ghana, right here in Africa on the continent, and or in the US, in Europe, or anywhere else in the world, because cybersecurity professionals are needed globally. By 2021, there'll be over 5 million security jobs available globally in the world, and very few people to take up those particular positions. Jobs like, they'll call it InfoSec professional, InfoSec analyst. InfoSec means information security. They'll have things like security analyst, security engineer. There's so many labels that can be put on to these particular roles. Penetration tester of this nature, and having people with the basic skills is hard. Having people with pure, true, practical knowledge becomes a hunt, a true hunt, because it's such a rare skill set. This is why we bring to you these cybersecurity courses so that we can build that skill set right here on the continent and be able to serve our businesses, governments, and individuals, help protect their data. Global workforce is also having some problems because universities, schools, organizations that are involved with training have very few people with the skill set as well. The people who do have skills may have some antiquated technology skills that aren't relevant to cybersecurity or not relevant to how security works now in this day, this age, this century. The demand is high, but the qualified professionals to do it both at a professional level in corporate as well as a professional academic level in academia. So this becomes a problem worldwide, but especially here in Africa. We work together to share skills and knowledge. This is another way we can help to be able to provide high-level, high-skilled jobs within our communities right here on the continent. New learning providers, though, are popping up, are trying to fill the gap slowly but surely. Some are more reputable than others. And these organizations, such as Reg Theory Academy, is providing content online and, in some cases, practical hands-on experience in person when needed. So the global workforce is in need of cybersecurity professionals like yourself. So right now you're taking a first step and say, I'm ready. I'm ready to be in this field of cybersecurity. I'm ready to learn more. I'm ready to do no harm. And I'm ready to be able to build my own future, my family's future, and the future of my community. Well, welcome. I hope that you take more of our classes here at Reg Theory Academy to learn more about what we're doing and how we're sharing these cybersecurity skills with you. Visit the additional courses we have in cybersecurity. We have various levels, and you should take the level that's best for you and where you're at in your cybersecurity journey. Thank you.